Hello and welcome to session 4 of the Resonant Marketing Workshop. So today we're going to focus on landing pages. The reason why that's important is because now that you've gotten some ideas for your offerings, as well as some marketing copy from your market research, and some surveying to start validating the ideas that your audience, the offerings that your audience most wants from you, now it's time to put it onto a web page and actually share it with people so that they can buy your packages, buy your offerings, etc. So what I'm going to do is I, of course, have a resource document that has all of the um, elements of a landing page and how to improve a landing page. It's all written in there. So don't worry about trying to capture everything I'm saying and just focus on thinking about your own offerings and how you can implement that into a web page that really works for your audience. Okay. So just a couple of quick sort of defining what a landing page is. You may have heard the term before. And the landing page idea is basically, instead of thinking about trying to optimize your entire website, which is a very daunting thing, you think instead about improving one particular web page, the web page that your potential clients or customers or students or members are coming to decide if they want to hire you or buy your services or your products, etc. So a landing page is that one web page that talks about the product or service and answers the common questions that potential clients or customers have, and then they can then check out and buy the thing. So in other words, so it's called a landing page, by the way, because that's where people are landing. It's a landing page, because when you buy advertisements or whatever, you might just have them land right on that page to make a decision and go further. Now, this means you don't have to worry about trying to make your website perfect before you launch your offering. In fact, a lot of offerings have just one single page without all the about us, without the blogs and resources and contact page. They just have a single web page, and they have $1 million businesses from a single web page. So you don't need a whole website. You just need a landing page. The rest of the website is really there as context if they want to go and find out more about you. But one of the best practices for having a landing page is literally to not have any navigation items on that page so that it doesn't distract them. Now, you might say, well, George, what about your landing pages? You have navigation, etc. Well, I know I can optimize my landing page a lot more, and I have had landing pages that don't have navigation, etc. But what I'm going to do today is, having 10 years of experience with online marketing and having seen thousands of websites and landing pages and kind of thought about them, I'm going to give you what I think are the most important elements to think about for your own landing page and how to improve them as a result. Okay. So first of all, how do you build a landing page? You use whatever you already have for building your website, right? And so for me, that's Weebly. I use Weebly, WEEBLY. A lot of you use Squarespace, WordPress, which is totally fine, right? Doesn't matter what you use, you can build a landing page as long as the tool is not so hard for you to use. So I use Weebly. Some of my clients really like using Wix, Wix.com, and other clients really like using Squarespace, SQUARE space.com. Okay. Now, there are also specific software for building, compelling landing pages. And the ones that I'm going to invite you to look into, if you're interested in that, is Instapage is one of them, INSTAPAGE, Instapage. And the other one to really look into is Unbounce, UNBOUNCE. So Instapage and Unbounce are for more sophisticated landing pages. I'm not even doing that because it's about $100 a month for those services just to have a landing. You can have many landing pages, but it's $100 a month. It's not for beginners typically, but they have all kinds of very savvy tools like split testing and anyway, lots of cool things. But once your offering is doing well, you're selling a lot of your product or service, and then you want to make it much more professional, then Instapage and Unbounce are good options. Another one you may have heard of is called Lead Pages. Lead Pages is very popular as well. I've had several clients use Lead Pages, and over the years, I have come to distrust that service. It loads very slowly, or whatever reason, lots of problems with it. And so I don't recommend Lead Pages anymore. But stick with whatever you're already using to build websites. And Jason here on the one of the live participants has a question. Why isn't your landing page just your homepage, like georgecow.com? So because it can be, by the way, I should say, if a product or service is doing well for you, like it's your most popular thing, you may actually want to have a separate domain name and a separate website just for that product or service. And that website can be super simple. It can literally just be one web page, jasonsservice.com or whatever, and they can also, if they want to get more context about you, Google you, they want to find out more about you, maybe they can go to jasonshomepage.com or whatever, for your full website with your blog and everything. But let me come back and be clear once again. You don't even need a whole website to have a full-time business. You just need a landing page and an audience that trusts you. Now, the audience can be built through a Facebook business page, for example. Really. I mean, I've seen businesses that do that. Just a single landing page with a very optimized the description of the service and the video and everything that just really focused on that particular service or that particular product. And they don't have any other website. That's it. People find them through social media or through advertisements, and they just go there and they look so good and people can buy, and that's it. So a website is optional. I know this is blasphemous for most marketing training, but really a website is optional. A landing page is not. You have a landing page already, if you didn't know that. Whatever is selling your service or your product that you send people to is your landing page. So that's why we're talking today about making landing pages as optimized as possible. All right. So, and Ruth, thank you. Ruth wrote here that some WordPress sites have a landing page as a template, so that it doesn't show the header and the navigation items about and blog and all these things. Again, a landing page needs to be focused on that particular thing that you are wanting to sell right on that page. Okay. So let's start talking about and as I talk through the elements of a landing page, look at your own landing page and ask yourself, do I have these things, or can I improve these things? Right? So you might want to pull up your website now and go to the services page or go to your product page, and let's talk through this. And during this session, I'm also going to we'll take a look at several examples together. In fact, if those of you who are live here, if you would like to put a link in there into the chat for us to all to look at on the recording as an example, I'd love to take a look and give a gentle critique of your landing page. Or if you follow a thought leader who has a really optimized, you think it's maybe have you bought some product or service or package or training lately that you think, wow, that was a really nice experience, that learning about the product and buying it, and you'd like to submit that into the chat, those of you who are live here, for feedback or for critique right on this recording, feel free to do that as well. Okay, and I see some of you have put in your Shirani, Cindy, and Ilsa. Thank you. We're definitely going to look at these. So let me talk through the elements, and then we'll look at examples together and see how we can improve on your landing page. Okay, so the most important principle for a landing page is to meet your visitors' expectations. Ideally, exceed the expectations. But let's first think about who is your ideal visitor. And those of you who are live here can feel free to chat that into the chat. And those of you watching the recording can put that into the comments just as an exercise. Who is your ideal visitor? Now, you've gotten some ideas from this based on your fan interviews, which we talked about in session 1 of this workshop series, and based on the market research you may have done, right? Seeing some of your niche mates and some of the testimonials from their product or service, seeing your survey responders. Who is your ideal visitor? Your ideal visitor, of course, is the person that you think is the most likely to purchase your product or your service. Okay, so who is that? Give me a sense of that. What are they looking for? All right, so think about that. What are they looking for? So the person who is most likely to buy your service, or who most wants and needs your service or your product, what are they hoping to see on a web page that describes that service or product? And if you're not able to think about this, maybe turn it around and say, think about a service or product that you want to buy or that you've recently bought. What did you hope to see on that web page as we're trying to decide whether or not you're definitely going to buy it? What were you hoping to see? And those of you who are live can feel free to chat in. What were you hoping to see? What did you expect to see on the web page? And what were you hoping that they would clarify or, somehow express on that web page? I'm going to give you half a minute, including those watching the recording, to think about that, because that's a really important frame for how we create ours as well. And let's think in terms specifically about a particular web page instead of a whole website and series of pages. So let's think about just what would you expect to see on one particular web page about that? Great. So Shirani wrote, how their offering solves my problem. Exactly. You want to know, hey, I'm thinking of buying this. I'm trying to decide, will this really work for me? Yeah. So you got to answer that question for your ideal client. Will your service work for them? Well, who are they, first of all? Are they in the right place, right? And what are they looking for? And is your solution tailored for what they're looking for? Does that make sense? So it really starts with a good headline. So you go to a page, you go to a web page, and there needs to be when I say needs to be, I mean, typically this has become the best practice on the internet, is there is a large phrase, sentence, or maybe 2 or 3 lines, a large font that tells you what this page is about. If you're looking for such and such, you're in the right place, or such and such course about this, whatever it may be, right? My headline for this course said Resonant marketing, training, something like that, how to clarify your message and offerings, whatever. So it's like, it gave you a clear idea, even if you didn't see anything else. Does the headline tell you what the whole thing is about? The headline, if it confuses, and if it isn't clear, a lot of people won't read the rest of the page, right? Because the headline says, hey, I'm in the right place, or I'm not in the right place. So I recommend that you really try to write as many headline variations as you can. The best copywriters, the best marketing writers recommend that you write 25 variations of your headline before you decide which one you're going to use on your web page, on your landing page. And this is for landing pages. This is really the most important page for your whole business, is your landing page. So you've got to write more than just 1 or 2 keep writing until you get to at least 10. I'm going to give you that assignment. Because when you run out of ideas, just try another variation. Just try something else and maybe give it a rest and then come back and try more. Say, well, what if I said it this way? What if I said it that way? Keep on pushing your ideas past the boundaries of where they typically are. It can be funny, it can be crazy, it can be serious, it can be casual, it can be very direct, it can be subtle. Try different versions, okay, until you come to at least 10, if not 25. This is what the marketing experts are recommending. And once you get to 10 or 25, then you take a break, maybe come back the next day. And from these 10 or 25, eliminate the ones that you definitely think, oh, that wasn't very good. And you may want to choose particular words or phrases from some of them and put it together into another combination, right? You might have a 26th idea, 27th idea, 28th idea, okay? And then come to, let's say, your top 5. Okay, out of all those options, come to your, if you have 25, then come to your top, whittle it down till you have the top 5. If you only have 10 options, whittle it down till you have the top 3. And then guess what? That can be one of your survey questions, right? One of your survey questions. If you already sent a survey, send another one, or put it on your Facebook page and take a poll to say, hey, I'm preparing to launch my next offering, my next one-to-one coaching package, my next workshop, my next online course, my next product. And I have these options, my next book, right? I have these options as possible titles. Which one do you like the best? Choose one. And people will vote. Now, ideally you would, given that you're already getting ready to launch it, you would just share it with the widest audience possible, because you're pre-launching, you're giving them the suggestion that this is coming, and they're going to start looking for it. And the fact that they voted on something gives them more interest and excitement to look for the product when it's ready. Does that make sense? So have your audience vote on the top 3. And then whatever they vote on, see if you agree, okay? Because ultimately you still have to be really happy with the headline, but your audience you should typically follow your audience's choice, because they are the ones who are going to decide whether they want to buy or not, right? All right. So let's keep going, and then I'm going to answer some questions. So for those of you who are live here, if you have questions, go ahead and put in the chat. Those watching the recording, put your questions right inside the comments area below. All right. Images is the next element of your landing page. Do you have images right now on your landing page? And are you proud of those images? Do you feel like they are very appropriate for what this landing page is about? Okay. Do you have a picture of yourself on the landing page? If it is a service that you provide, I recommend that you do, especially if it's a one-to-one service. People want to see who they're working with as soon as possible. So if you go to my one-to-one coaching page, you see a picture of me right away, because they're going to be working with me. Okay. If it's a course, if it's a group event, do you have a picture of your previous event? So that's a very appropriate picture, because they say, oh yes, I'm taking part in this thing. If it's a product, obviously, pictures of products, that product in different ways. Let's see here. If you would like some images that you might want to use, there's a website called Creative Commons, and I'm going to share my screen right now so that I can show you where that is, and so that you can use it. Okay. So when you go to the resource document, this is session 4. You should recognize this by now. This is just the same document that we've been talking throughout the entire series. And if you scroll down to the landing page elements, there is a link here called Creative Commons for free images that you can use for your business. And so you click on Creative Commons, and then you go to the link down here. And let's say that you're looking for, let's see, does anybody want to give me, who are live here, what kind of image might you be looking for? Go ahead and type that into the chat. All right, Jenny, thank you. Joyful living. Okay. So when we're searching for images, we can start with phrases, and then if it's too specific, we can use just a single word. And I recommend you keep it on Google Images, okay? If it's not here, sometimes when you open this page, it's somewhere else. So just click on Google Images, keep these 2 checkboxes checked, and let's try joyful living and see what happens, and press enter. Great, okay. So look at these. These are all images that you can download and use on your website for free without even having to give credit to the original person. That's even optional. Okay, you can if you want to, but that's even optional. And this is really useful because now you can even select a particular idea. So you say, oh, I want happiness. Okay, let's click on happiness. And that gives, even more specific ideas about joyful living. So let's say that this is one that I want to use, right? So I go ahead and click on it, and then look, when I click on the image for the preview, it even gives me additional options that I can look at. And these are also, again, images that you can typically I think these are also images you can use with modification. So let's say I really like this one. How do I then download and use it? Well, click on visit. Okay, click on visit here. Visit the actual, okay. And there's the image right there. Now that looks kind of like a small image, but I'm not sure if it is or not. So I'm going to download it, and on a Mac, it's Control-click to get this. On the Windows, it's right-click to get this, and then I click Save Image As. Okay, and I save it to my computer. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share my full screen here. Give me just a moment. Okay, so now I'm sharing my full screen, and here's the image that we downloaded. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just double click on it to see if it's large. Oh yeah, that's large, right? See, that's a fairly large image that I can then repurpose. Okay, and okay, all right. I'm just trying to see if there's any kind of information about how I can use these images or not, but there's none. But I did find it through the Creative Commons search, so it should be okay. It should be okay. And typically, honestly, let's just be really practical about it. When you use images from other people, I mean, I've used images for 10 years from different websites. I find it through Creative Commons. Not a single person has ever contacted me saying, hey, you didn't give me credit on that image. Or, hey, did you get that image from my website? Not a single person after 10 years of doing, at this point, probably hundreds of web pages with thousands of images. So just for practicality purposes, no one is even going to know that it's coming from a particular place. So, and just so you know, the search engine that we're using already takes into account Unsplash and Pixabay and Flickr. See, they're all in here. They're all in here. So all of them are already taken into account, already grouped together into this powerful search called Creative Commons. So, okay, and Shirani says, I actually know of a woman who was sued for a lot of money for using a so-called free image. Okay, that's unusual. I almost never hear of that, and I would say that is highly unusual. And we probably hear those stories because they are so unusual. Okay, they are so out of the blue. So honestly, I'm not going to give you legal advice, but and I shouldn't give you any legal advice. But I'll just tell you my own experience is that it is extremely safe. I've never had trouble, or I've never had any clients who've had trouble with it. So anyway, okay, so let's keep going here. And Let's keep going on the different elements. So imagery is going to be helpful. Images will be helpful for, breaking up a lot of text to make your web page look more interesting. So that's something you can think about. If you have a lot of words, if they're scrolling and scrolling and it's all just words, you might want to give them a break by having images, as ways to kind of help them keep going on the page. Okay. Okay, and the other thing I recommend is once you download the image, before you upload it to your website, you should compress the image so that the web page loads faster. Okay, and just go to this website, compressor.io. It's free to use. You click on try it, and I'm going to go ahead and upload the image that we downloaded earlier. Okay, and it's very fast to do. So before it was almost 400 kilobytes, and now it's only 40 kilobytes. So it's a 90% size reduction. It doesn't reduce the actual physical size of the image. It only reduces the resolution. So it loads faster on mobile phones and on web pages, but it doesn't compromise how large the image is. So look at this. Can you tell the difference? This is at 400 kilobytes, and this is at 40. Can you tell the difference? No. The naked eye, the average web viewer is not going to know what the difference is. So once you compress it, you then click on download your file, and it'll put the smaller size image on your computer, and that's the one that you should upload to your website so that it's your website loads faster, your landing page loads faster. Because a fast loading landing page is one of the important factors for people deciding they want to actually look at the landing page. If your landing page is loading a long time, by what I mean by a long time, even 3 to 4 seconds loading is a long time in the online world. Really. The longer it takes for your landing page to load, the less trust the visitor has, because they're like, uh-oh, am I going to a wrong page here? Do you see? But the faster it loads, they're like, wow, that was professional. That's why it's helpful to compress images. Okay. All right. One of the other helpful things is when you're writing on your landing page with the words, try to make it narrower rather than so wide. And when we talk about examples later, I will show you what I mean by narrower words versus wider words. Okay. In terms of what to write on your page, remember, what is your ideal visitor expecting to see? And turn it around. If you don't know, what are they expecting? Look at yourself as a consumer. Next time you try to buy a product, ask yourself, what am I expecting to see on this page before I go there? Okay, keep practicing that question, because you're going to need to answer those questions for your ideal visitor as well. What am I expecting to see? What do I hope to see? What questions do I hope this person will answer? What concerns do I hope this person or this web page will alleviate? Okay, so that's essentially what you're trying to do. One of the most helpful things to write on your landing page is, my friend Tad Hargrave. He's a marketing expert. I really like his content. Marketingforhippies.com is his website. He talks about the point of view. You need to share what you really believe about the problem that you're helping your client solve, or the goal you're helping them achieve, or the experience you are trying to help them have. What do you believe about it? What do you believe is at the root of the problem? Or what do you believe is the most important thing they need to understand to achieve the goal? Or what is the most important context for how they can have a good experience? What is your point of view about it? Okay. Benefits, very important. What can they expect? How can they expect to benefit based on buying your product or using your service? How do you know? Well, look at your existing clients who have bought the product or use your service. By the way, if you don't have anybody who has bought your thing yet, I recommend that you trade with another service provider, maybe somebody else taking this class. Trade with that person so you can give each other feedback on, oh, this is the benefit I experienced. Does that make sense? Trade with somebody else so that you can tell them what you experienced from their service. They can tell you what they experienced from your service, and trade with several service providers so that you can finally come to a bullet point list of benefits. Okay. And then features. Features is what you need to explain on the page too, which is what do they actually get? Okay, if it's a one-to-one coaching package, well, what does that mean? How long is each coaching session? How many months is it for? If it's an online course, well, how long are the videos? I've just been starting to update my own page about that. How long are the videos? What else do I get? Resource document. Okay, how many pages is the document? What do I get basically after by buying this thing? Benefits is what do I experience? What are my results? Features is what do I get immediately as I buy it? What thing to describe the thing? Okay. Of course, your price. Okay, let's talk about price a little bit here. Should you put your price on your landing page? My opinion about it, my experience is if you're not sure what the answer is, yes, you should put your price on it. Where pricing is not appropriate is for certain corporate packages. If you're selling to corporations, they often have contractors and consultants that don't put pricing because the pricing is usually hundreds of thousands of dollars, or maybe it needs to be very customized based on the corporation's needs. So if the pricing needs to be highly customized for your client, then obviously you wouldn't put a price on there. You could maybe put a price range, okay? But for the rest of us, right, I think a price is the respectful thing to do, to put on there, because you want to give the visitor, what's one of the things you look for, right, before you decide to buy something? I'm guessing a lot of you watching this are going to say, yes, I scroll down and look at the price. How many of you do that? I know I do. As quickly as possible, I scroll down and try to find the price. And when I don't see a price, I'm annoyed. Aren't you? I mean, aren't you like, where do I find the price for this thing? So that's why, in my opinion, I think it's a respectful thing to do is to put the price on there, or at least a price range, okay? And if you want some guidance on how to price things, in the document section here, I have a blog post that will help you to figure out the right pricing for your services. So if you go to this blog post, you will see how to figure out your pricing, right? What is your cost? Cost for the product, or cost of living if you're a service provider, cost of your business, expected number of sales that you're going to get from it, what is your market rate, all that, what is the market rate from other people and different tiers of, So basically look at that blog post if you want some guidance on that. Okay. Another helpful thing is to have testimonials. What do other buyers say about this product or service? Okay. Another helpful element is the guarantee. If you are willing to have a guarantee. Now, if you do one-to-one service, typically people don't usually use a guarantee because they took an hour of your time, right? But if you're selling an online course or product, especially something that is a digital download, I recommend that you have a guarantee on there, because it's not a big deal if someone buys a digital download from you or an online course and doesn't like it. Well, you can refund them. It didn't take you much time for them to use it and buy it, right? Okay, one of the elements that a lot of people forget to put is, who are you? Okay, you've talked about the benefits, you've talked about the features, you've talked about your perspective on the problem, but what makes you qualified to offer this service? Or what makes your company qualified to produce the product, or whatever it is? So what it is about the background, the story about how you came up with this, or why you're qualified to do this. Just a little bit, it doesn't have to be very long, but just maybe 1 or 2 or 3 paragraphs, the most important parts of your about me, section. I mean, maybe you have a separate web page on your site that's about me and tell lots of stories or all about you. But what are some of the most important things that they need to know about before buying this particular service? That is helpful for them to know, this is the person I want to work with, or this is the company I want to buy from. Okay, can they contact you if they have questions? That's something a lot of people forget to put on their page as well if they want it. I don't put it on my page, but actually I probably should. On my course sales page. That's probably a good idea. So that's something I can update. But what about you? Can you put, a link to your contact page, or a forum, or maybe before they hire you for one-to-one, they need to have an exploratory call with you so that you can interview them to make sure that they are the right client. They can interview you to make sure that they're clear what this is about. So that's this section of the page is where you then talk about, here's how to sign up for an exploratory call. And then finally, is there a sample you can offer of whatever you're selling? And if you're doing coaching or consulting or mentoring, then a sample would be having an exploratory free complimentary call with you, right? Okay. All right. And then once you have created your landing page, it's time to get feedback. Okay. And we're going to do feedback right now of several of your pages, but go back to the fans that you interviewed. Remember session 1, we did fan interviews. Well, contact them again and say, hey, I've put together something based on conversations with you and a bunch of other people or a couple other people. I put together an offering that is designed to meet you where you're at. And I'm wondering if it makes sense to you. Can you take a look and let me know if you have any suggestions on how it can be made even more effective and even more interesting, even more useful for somebody like you. Okay, so go back to your fans and ask them. With your colleagues, with your friends who also are service providers or business owners, ask for their feedback on it. You could trade feedback with each other's landing pages. Your clients who are very supportive of you and don't mind volunteering some of their time to look at your landing page and give feedback, just be appropriate about it, because your clients are not obligated to volunteer their time to help you with your landing page. So just be thoughtful about their time. But if you notice there's certain clients who are big fans, you might want to ask them for their feedback on it. Okay. If you can actually get feedback through a live Zoom call or Skype call or Zoom call where they can share their screen with you, so you can see how they're actually going through the page and what they're most interested in, that would be the most useful thing to do. I have an article for you here in the document called Website User Interviews. And if you go there, it'll teach you how to do that kind of an interview where they're giving you actual feedback about your page. Okay, so that can be very, very useful, because you can see in real time their furrowed expression or their delight. You watch their face as they're sharing their screen and going through certain parts of your page. Okay. Let me talk a little bit about getting testimonials, and then we'll go into talking about the examples. If you don't have any testimonials yet, but you've already worked with clients, then it's time to ask them for testimonials. And one of the reasons we don't have enough testimonials, you might be one of those people, is because you don't ask for them. And one, you're not asking for them. Two is you're not making it easy for them to send it to you, meaning you're not giving them guidance on what questions to answer in a testimonial, right? If you're just going to say, hey, Cindy, can you give me a testimonial about my service? It's a very open-ended question. And Cindy will be like, wow, what can I say? There's so many things. Everybody is busy. If you can make it calming and easy for them to write. So for example, give them specific questions. The questions I like to ask my clients when I'm asking for testimonials: what's the one thing you found the most valuable about this service? It's the one thing you found most valuable. Okay. Two, if a friend of yours is asking, is it worthwhile to sign up to work with George? What would you say? Right? And that's oh yeah, think about a friend. Oh yeah, if I have a friend who's thinking about, I would say, yeah, well, you would really like this about George, and et cetera, et cetera. A third question, I haven't really asked this, but I want to thank my friend Jason Stein for this idea. Were you skeptical about the service or the product before you bought it? Well, what were the results? Okay. And that can make a very powerful testimonial too. He's like, before I hired George, I thought, oh, there's no way that a business coach can help me because of this and this and this. But what I discovered was that we were able to get this done, et cetera, et cetera. So that can be a powerful, powerful testimonial. And thank you, Cindy, for that chat there. Okay, and Jenny says, many of my clients have concerns about giving testimonials because it's very sensitive in terms of the work I do with people, and they don't want others to know that they did the healing work. That's a very good point. So in your testimonial request, make sure they know that they have an option of still giving you that testimonial without you using their name. And you can, in fact, say, hey, let me know what I can mention about you. Can I mention your first name, your last name? Can I mention your profession without your name? Can I mention what state you're from without using your name? Maybe what profession and what state? Well, lawyer from California. Well, that's very anonymous, right? That's a billion people, right? So even a profession and a location can be, or if profession doesn't mean anything in your industry, maybe it's mom of 3 kids from New York City. Well, that's lots of people, right? So if they're not comfortable, you can use those kinds of identifiers and ask them about that. Okay. Oh, Jenny says, I'm talking about Facebook reviews, your profile. Yes, that's true. Yeah. So Facebook reviews, but here, when we're talking about a landing page, you don't have to use Facebook reviews for that. You can just email your clients, and when they submit it to you, you can just copy and paste what they wrote. And then, mother of 2 from Oregon State, lawyer from Wyoming or whatever. And you can use that, just copy and paste it without using their Facebook review, or without asking them for it. So, okay, all right. And if you haven't worked with anybody and you would like some testimonials about your service, trade with other service providers and exchange feedback. And if they really like your service, then you can ask them for a testimonial. Don't require somebody to give you a testimonial in order to use your service. Just ask them, hey, would you give me feedback? And we could trade feedback on each other's services. Okay. All right, so let's now move into giving some feedback, some feedback on how we can improve some of the examples here. And I'm gonna just address those who are let's see here. Okay, great. Sharani, thank you for submitting your webpage for landing page feedback, and let's take a look together. And as I show this to you on your screen, see if you can put on your critique hat, landing page critic hat, and think about what can be improved about this page. If you were giving some honest feedback to a friend, what would you ask them to improve if they're very open about it? So let's take a look together. Okay. All right. Great. So yeah, that's a nice picture there. Soulful Self online course, your journey to more happiness, more joy, more loving life. I think that's great. I think it's pretty clear. I would encourage you to make this a bit bigger, actually. Get access now for just $4.97. Okay. All right. So the pricing of this is a bit of a sticker shock, because online courses are, when people think about online courses, they probably have heard of Udemy, or they've heard of other platforms where they buy. I mean, Udemy is probably the most popular one, or Daily Ohm. And prices there, generally people are buying it for dozens of dollars instead of hundreds of dollars. So the fact that you put the price so high up here, I think is not going to serve this page. I'm not saying you should change your price, but if the price is going to be higher than the average online course that people are typically used to seeing, well, then again, my question is, the audience that you're sending that are visiting this page, what prices are they accustomed to seeing for an online course? If they're not accustomed to seeing the price of $500, then you should put the price much further down after they've already looked through the page. Does that make sense? After they've already been convinced that this is the right course for them, then $500 might sound like, wow, that was a really good deal. Okay. So Sharani has has these headlines, but she also has a secondary headline. And I think that's okay, and because this is kind of a question. Are you ready to restore? And okay, one thing I noticed right away is that this is very wide, right? So let me just show you what I mean by narrow text. I was just working on this particular landing page today, so we'll take a look at this. Okay, so notice how narrow the text is. So it's very readable, and it's also large, right? It's larger than this. Okay, so if any of you ever work with website designers, graphic designers and website designers are notorious for using small fonts. But small fonts are not what the typical website viewer wants. Okay, you don't have to be, have eyesight problems to not like small fonts. I have fine eyesight, and I don't like small fonts because it feels like, oh, it's so much work to try to like read what it's about. Let me give you another example of a well-formatted web page. If you go to medium.com, not the homepage, I think this is really chaotic, to be honest with you. But if you go to any article on medium.com, okay, any article, the way that it's formatted, medium.com was created by very, very savvy user interface designers. They have studied, countless web pages and what makes people stay on the web page, and they created medium.com as a result. So maybe I shouldn't downplay their homepage, but their homepage format right now, the way we saw it here, this is actually fairly new. So I think they're still testing this. I think this is way too chaotic. But in terms of let's look at a particular article. This is actually more like a landing page format. Okay, look how narrow the words are. Look how large the words are. I haven't even zoomed in. See, this is just 100%. This is normal zoom. Okay, without zooming in. Look how large the words are. Okay, so I try to implement that on my landing pages as well. You see the font size and the font width is very similar. You see this? But most landing pages, and by the way, Shirani, I'm not criticizing just you, because most landing pages, the font's too small and the font is too wide. The words are too wide. Anyway, so I'm just FYI. Okay. Step-by-step online relations. So I'm not going to really critique the writing of it, because I will trust you to think about what your visitor wants you to say and do your market research to see what your niche mates are, what phrases and how they're wording things, and I'll let you do that work. But we'll just take a look at sort of the elements of the landing page. Okay. I like that the button is very pleasant, right? It's easy to find. Get access now, and you kind of go right to the sales or to the checkout page. Okay. Okay. By the way, if you have multiple payments, I don't know if you can change this, but it would be better for it to say $250 for 2 months. I mean, then, or 100 and whatever, $67. Is that the right math? for 3 months or 3 payments. So this is a little bit confusing just to see this. It's not super confusing. People understand what 2 payments, 3 payments means. But if it's possible to change this, then that would make it more appealing for sure. And also, typically people only have one participant. So if the vast majority of your buyers are just one, I would just maybe take this out. The more streamlined your checkout page is, the better. But otherwise, I think it's fine. I mean, on the right-hand side, I think you could really optimize this section. This section should give a summary of what they're buying. The benefits and features should be summarized in bullet points right here, as well as your credibility summarized and your picture right here. So that would make the checkout page much more appealing for people when they're making that final decision. Who is this for? So great. So you're asking, you're immediately, so if I were your marketing director, I would say, let's take out this button right there. Let's take out this button right there, because this is kind of an expensive course, and we want to really, people need to be really sold on this before they see the price, right? So let's take those things out, and then let's just go right into who is this for. And the fact that there's so much white space makes me a little bit uncomfortable. It's a little bit, I might put this centered. And by the way, centered doesn't mean that it has to be the words have to be all centered. It could still be left justified words, except centered in terms of the placement of the words. So look at this. This is left justified, right? Meaning the words are flush left, right? But it's still centered on the page. You see, this thing isn't on the left here. So therefore, there is a lot of white space on my page. And also there's a lot of white space on Medium's page, but the white space is balanced, right? It's balanced. So that's what you want to make them feel, that it's balanced rather than it's a little bit off balance here, right? I would take out this button also because I'm kind of surprised at the price before even knowing what this is, you know. And maybe the way you sold it in the past was they were already very convinced. Maybe you did a webinar or you had a lot of marketing emails before they came here. That may be the case. But if you think a lot of people are coming here to really confirm that they want this, then I wouldn't have the buttons, so many buttons, with such a high price. Yeah. Okay, here's what you'll learn. Okay, and I would again encourage you to increase the font size, and I would encourage you to make each thing a bigger deal. You know, module 1, module 2, module 3. One of the let me give you some examples of very let's see here, a couple of online course examples that you can look at and borrow from. Udemy.com they probably sell more online courses than anybody else, and so taking a look at their courses and how they try to sell us on their courses can be very effective. So let's take a look at. We'll just go into health and personal development, for example. Okay, and explore course. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so you see they're proudly putting the price on here because the price is so low, right? And they have ratings on there right away. Now, we don't have to have ratings on our online course sales pages, but Udemy has a simple process for doing ratings. What will I learn? Very simple, check marks here. Requirements, description. So this is okay. I mean, this is actually, I'll have to say Udemy's page is really meant for the impulse purchase because most people buy their courses at around $10 because Udemy has sales like every single month. They take courses that are whatever price, several $100s, and they make it $10 or $12. And that's how most of the instructors make most of their money, is selling courses at about $10 or $12. Even though their course is retail priced at $200 or $150, they actually make most of their money in volume rather than total sale, rather than per sale. But let's look at another popular course provider, the Shift Network. And I'm looking at this particularly because they do a lot of personal growth and spiritual courses. The Shift Network, and we'll go to courses, course library. Okay. All right, let's take a look at any of their courses here. Okay. So notice that the words are fairly large font. I think it's a little bit wider than I'm comfortable with, but it's not so bad because the font is fairly big. But if I were guiding them, I would say, let's chop off the width a little bit here. Okay. Left and right. But look at this, check marks, right? But 12 weeks, module 1. So that's what I wanted to show you. They make a much bigger deal out of each module, right? So every module has its own kind of section and has its own image. The Shift Network has been selling millions of dollars worth of courses for years. I mean, I actually personally know the CEO, so I kind of know that the company has done very, very well. And they're professional course sellers, so they do all this marketing, right? So anyway, that might be something interesting for you to look at. Another really savvy course seller is Mind Valley, right? So let's look at mindvalley.com and let's look at one of their courses. Okay, programs. Let's look at Mind and Spirit. Okay, and let's look at, consciousness. I don't know. Okay, let's go look at Neil Donald Walsh. Great. Okay, great. Okay, so it starts off with a video. So immediately it'll kind of draw you in and build feelings of trust and of sort of like multimedia is much more entertaining, right? So I think it's an interesting way to start a landing page is using video. And oh, this is interesting. They have all these different tabs. I think they're probably learning a little bit, taking a page from Udemy with their various sections here. Well, maybe not. Maybe they don't have sections. But okay. Uh, okay. So personally, I think the font is too small. So I have critiques too about Mindvalley. I think the font's too small. I think that it's a little bit too wide. But of course, it's beautifully designed. It has sort of social proof, like credibility builders right away. So that's what we can learn from. Oh, look at the headline. Headline's very big. Take a journey towards your life's greatest spiritual evolution. I'm sure they tested the headline and asked their audience about it probably, or did surveys to kind of figure this out. So they have credibility builders right there, pretty quick, pretty soon. Obviously, the name Neil Donald Walsh is by itself a credibility builder, so we don't need much more than that. But let's take a look further here. So I notice again, this is the third professional course seller that has used check marks. So that we can learn something from that. So if you sell courses, maybe you should use check marks for bullet points as well, right? That's something I'm learning. Neil's plan for you. I really don't like it when they say for you, because Neil doesn't know who I am, doesn't know George Cao. How can he plan for George Cao? So I get annoyed whenever marketing tries to say, this is for you. Well, no, it's for me and the other 10,000 people looking at this. So please stop lying to me, right? So that's personally, I don't like it. But step one, okay. All right. Let's take a look here further. Okay. Well, that's weird. Oh, so look, again, they're having you focus directly on each module, right? Right. You scroll down, focus on this module. Next, focus on this module. So that's where I think you can make a fairly easy optimization is to just make each module have its own column, right? Have its own focus rather than so much in one place. Again, you should have an image here if you want to do a right column type thing. It'd be great to have an image here to make it look more nice. Great. Yes, so you have an about me here. I like that. I would encourage you to put the image much higher up so that it's matching. They can see you right away rather than seeing this this white space that might look like it's an error or something like that. But great. Okay. Frequently asked questions. That's great. So you have an FAQ on here. Good. And then you have testimonials. Good. Okay. And you've share buttons. Okay. Yeah. I would probably personally, I would take out the share buttons because I just don't want to, I don't want to distract people from it. And typically when people see social media icons, they're expecting to go to a social media page where they can see some social proof. But instead they click on it like, oh, you want me to share it? I haven't taken the course yet. Why should I share it? Right. So that would be my concern when I look at that. Okay. So I would encourage, okay, whenever something is, let's say above $100 sale, I would definitely encourage you to have a very captivating way for them to ask questions if they wanted to confirm a few things before they decide to buy. And the other thing I don't see on here is I don't see a guarantee. So especially, with a high price like this, anything you can do to remove risk and help them make the decision is going to be helpful. So guarantee, I think would be to me, that would be a must on a page like this. Great. Okay. So Sharani, is that helpful? And you're getting a lot of appreciation from people in the chat. Be aware of polite people here in the group who are just giving you appreciation to be polite. No, yeah, don't be too nice, everyone, when giving each other feedback on landing pages, right? You would rather give them suggestions that they can really make to improve it, but try to do it in a nice way. I hope I've done it in a gentle enough way. Thanks, Sharani, for being willing to courageous enough to be a guinea pig here. Okay, let's look at the next page that was submitted from somebody here on live on the call here. Cindy, great. And for those of you who are watching this replay, if you bought this course, you know that you get access to 3 months of, well, I do a monthly Q&A, a group monthly Q&A call for people who've bought my workshops recently. So please feel free to come to one of my Q&A calls if you want to get live critique from me. I won't be able to critique your landing page just if you put it in the chat. I don't have time to do that. But if you come to the Q&A, I will have time to critique your page. Okay, so let's take a look at this now. All right. So it's kind of a cute, it's kind of a cute image. What I like about this is that the words, the image is not competing with the words. I find in a lot of landing pages that the image is like competing with the words. And I would say my own page is kind of bordering on that. If you look at this, the image is competing with the words. You see that? It doesn't make the words easy to read. I'm critiquing my own page now, But what I like about what Cindy has done here is the image is very, you can see the image and you can see the words. There's no question. What I'm a little bit...
My that's all messed up at the top with the menu buttons, so ignore that part.
Oh, ignore this. So this is not supposed to look like this? Okay. Okay, and this little circle also is a little strange.
I have no idea what it is. It'll be gone.
Okay, all right. Okay, so curation of online class, the hub, search engine begins, the search begins here. Okay, great. Oh, I want to mention something. I'm sorry, before we move on. Shirani mentioned earlier that the page looks a lot better on mobile device. And I'm glad you mentioned mobile device, because yes, we should definitely be looking at our own landing page on the computer, on the desktop, laptop, or that's desktop or laptop, same thing, as well as on a phone. Very important. When was the last time you looked at your landing page on a phone and really critiqued it to say, is it easy for mobile viewers? Because I'm gonna guess that most of you who are here watching this, view a lot of web pages on your phone, don't you? I know I do. And if you do a research, I did some research in preparation for this. At least a third of all web pages are typically viewed just on mobile devices now, or at least it's viewed once on a mobile device before someone looks at looks at it on a desktop or laptop. On some websites, including mine, it's like 50% or more people are viewing it on their mobile device. So please optimize your landing page for how it looks on your phone, okay? And if you don't have a smartphone, of course, borrow somebody else's and look at it there. Okay, so the search begins here. Okay, so curation of online classes. What I am not sure about, first of all, the person who lands here, what do they already know about all this? Do they know that this is more spiritual personal growth classes or not?
Well, the home page had that, but now we're talking about maybe just having one page. So,
Yeah.
if you play on the menu where you can't really see it, you'll take you to the home page and it talks about what it is. I just got tired of not being able to find online classes.
By the way, one thing I'm noticing is that the scrolling is a little strange. Have you noticed the way that scrolls feels different from other websites as I scroll?
Oh.
Like I'm having a bit of a hard time scrolling. It's either going too fast. It kind of doesn't stop. You see, when I scroll a little bit and it doesn't stop, it just kind of keeps going. There's a sliding effect.
Okay.
So go back to your code and remove the sliding effect for the scrolling, because people are typically used to when they scroll, it stops when they stop.
Yeah.
Maybe it slides a little bit. This slides a little bit, but not very much. Okay, yours slides a lot. Like, okay. Topics.
This is also a program called Toolset, a plugin.
Okay. So to be honest with you, personally, I'm feeling kind of confused on what I'm looking at here.
Yeah, so I don't know if I could make this like this as a the hub page as a landing page.
Yeah. Okay. So each thing here. Oh, there's a Hay House. That course is $497 right there. Okay. So I don't think this is a good landing page, to be honest,
Right.
because I don't know what online classes. What do you mean? Like you're competing with Udemy? You're not, right? You're competing with more like Hay House.
Well, no, it's a combination, including Udemy classes will be on here. It's a curation of all of them. I mean, I'm not making any of them, I'm curating it. But on the home page, it tells you more. But
Right.
so I think I need to put a line from the
You
home.
need to put, yeah, a line or several lines about what this is about.
If you
Yeah,
go, if
for
you
sure.
go to click on the just the home page where you see the white bar, but you can't really see.
Okay. Oh, I'll just go to the homepage here.
Oh yeah, and
But
then there's a little paragraph right below
yeah,
the image there. Maybe I should put that searching for online classes can be a pain in the butt down there.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it could, but I mean, well, I think therefore what we just looked at is not a landing page and should not be a landing page. Your landing
Okay.
page should be the homepage. Period. Don't ever send people to that page we were just looking at.
Oh, okay.
Only send people here. And once they're comfortable here, they
Okay.
can go there by themselves.
Okay.
So I'm glad we're talking about this because there is a difference between what a landing page is. A landing page is where people land without any other context. Not, I'm sorry, not they don't have any other content. They might have seen an ad or read some things, but on Facebook or whatever. But when they land, that's the first exposure to that domain name, and that, not the first exposure, but that's where they're really focusing now. That makes
Okay.
So I think they should focus on this, not on the previous page.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So okay, so let's take a look at this. Curation of online classes. I'm not sure what the image of someone blowing what do you call those things?
A dandelion, because it's spreading knowledge one course at a time. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I would prefer it to be more like a footstep type thing.
Oh,
Because you've
okay.
got two imagery competing with each other. Two ideas competing with each other. You're having a footsteps idea, and you have a dandelion blowing idea, imagery. So
Oh, okay.
that doesn't make sense to me. Anyway. You ought to definitely do some website user interviews on this stuff. Okay, so can be putting the button. Sometimes you miss out on promotions. It sucks. So a decision we made to do something. We started curating. Has own. Hope this helps you. Great. And when you start saying things like we and XOXO, you got to sign off on who you are.
Oh, okay.
Cindy and Hanny. So that's nice. You can actually literally put your first names in there because that makes it playful, and XOXO therefore makes sense. And you can put your pictures on there too. You look good. So just put your little two pictures on there or together. Then people feel like, wow, this is like a personally done thing.
Okay.
One thing I would recommend is blue font traditionally are links, right? So whenever I see blue font, I always recommend changing it because just so everyone knows, when in doubt, make your font black or make it white. Don't use any other color. Okay, only use colors for buttons, for images, for borders, for design elements, but let the words themselves be black. Look at this, Mind Valley has black fonts, right? Or white, like I say, white or black, right? Shift Network has black font, right? Or white, right? Black or white. Udemy, of course, has black font, and these are links, right? Anything that's not black usually is links.
Okay.
So yeah, okay. And this again, these are actual links.
No.
Okay.
But it's a view online courses thing.
Oh, I
I need
see.
to take it and change the color to just to be black.
Change the color. Yeah, change the color to black, or maybe in this case, it might be better be white, just so that it's a higher contrast between font color and background, right?
We'll have to change the image too then.
Yeah, change image.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well, good work, Cindy. Keep going, and looking forward to the next update.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, Ilsa, thanks for submitting your link landing page. Let's take a look. Great. So True North, the aspirational image, I think I like that. That makes sense to me. And what I would like to see, actually, for some reason, I want to see this because it's aspirational, because it's hopeful. I want to see this image bigger. If you'll notice, modern websites have big images. Well, of course, I try to copy that with with something like this. But that's a very modern design, is big images. If you look at Medium, right? Oh, this is not the best example, but most Medium articles, right, have big images. Let's look at another one, right? Like this is very common for okay, and let's look at the courses. I'll just click on any random course here. It's not a very big image, but at least it has a video. So there's something here. Let's see this one. Okay, so the image is not huge. All right, maybe I'll take that back. But I would like to see something bigger, just for somehow that would give me more sense of wow, Okay, this tagline's a little bit subtle for me. A little bit subtle compared to the background. It's a little hard to read, so I'm not loving it. But True North's mission, and given that this is a different color, like I said, just use one color, people, unless you want to give a link. See, any color is a link. It's supposed to be a link. When it's not, it's a little bit strange. So just put black on everything. Let your colors be images and borders and things like that. Okay. Okay. Do you want to live the life you want? Do you want to step into your power? Yeah, free download. Okay, so I have a strange opinion compared to other marketers, which is I don't like lead magnets anymore. I don't like, in fact, I have a whole blog post about it. georgecow.com/blog/lead magnets. So I really don't like it because of my own experiences and some of my clients' experiences. I really recommend that we all just go back to having an email newsletter. So I would recommend taking off. And also, when somebody first comes to a page, I think the idea of a free download is, unless they're looking for it, it tends to lower the credibility of who you are, of your page, because you're like, I don't even know you. Why are you trying to entice me into a free download? Because I'm afraid. First of all, website visitors are not super comfortable downloading things onto their computer. Do you agree? I mean, you probably feel the same way. Before you download something to your computer, you're like, should I download it? Is it going to be a virus, etc.? So yeah, I would recommend taking out free download. If you want to keep the ebook and you just want people to be able to read it, then this is a very nice image. So just take out free download and just have this ebook, and you said download the ebook for free. I think that's fine. I think somehow the free download is throwing me off a bit here. Ilsa says, yeah, I need to take it down, George. Right now, I've turned it into a Kindle ebook, so it's in process. Great. Okay, so yeah, I would recommend taking out the social things. I think the tweets are okay, but the like us might also seem a little too forward, so I would recommend taking that out. Book your Get Clarity session here. Okay. I think that's fine. When people are coming here, they are looking. They have some context about career coaching by this point, I'm assuming, and then they want to click here. I would encourage you to make this into a button. Apply for a free Get Clarity Now session, right? Apply, so that you're sending the message that you don't just have time for anybody, but you have time for the person who's ready. So have a button there. This button says apply for a free Get Clarity session, and then I'll go on that page. Okay. All right. And I'd love to see here, right here on this page. Maybe you should have your there's some room down here, so maybe you should have your picture and a paragraph about who you are. I think that'd be a good use of that space right there. Okay. All right. So we've got about 15 minutes left, and so I'm going to quickly finish the resource document and just kind of talk you through some of the ways that we can improve our landing pages. Okay. So there's a lot here. Some of the Well, the most important thing I want you to know is this. Don't feel like you need a perfect landing page before you launch, because the real data comes when you actually launch and see what people think. Okay. So I write here, please balance between the two extremes, okay, of taking too much time making improvements without launching. Okay. So I think that's going to be a lot of you, because most of my audience is very conscientious, overly conscientious perhaps, and taking too much time making improvements without launching, and not making significant enough improvements before launching again, right? So after you launch and get some feedback, get some data, like noticing what people are doing or not doing on your page, then you launch again, maybe in a month or so, and you need to make some changes before you announce it again, or say, remind people to sign up or something like that. Make sense? Okay. The most important thing after that would be, again, coming back to the expectations. Is this something that they are delighted by? Or is this confusing? Or is this not enough information? Or is it overwhelming, too much information? Many of the landing pages built by marketers, I have to be honest, are too overwhelming. Okay, look at this. Look at this. It's just over the top. I think Shift Network, they're well, I know them personally. So they're run by a bunch of internet marketers who basically learned from the old school style of having forever scrolling landing pages. Their landing pages are actually not bad. I mean, every section has a purpose to it. So I don't want to critique that too much, but it's still longer than it really needs to be. So anyway, that's one thing I would say. Okay. Oh, analytics is also really important for you as you start to get data. And when I say get data, I mean, when people land on your page, what happens? How long do they stay on the page? Do they bounce away? Or do they stay on the page for 2, 3, 5, 10 minutes? Where do they go after this? If they have another link on that landing, if they have another link on the landing, where else do they go? Google Analytics will tell you all that. Okay, how long are they staying on the page? Are they buying? If you set up Google Analytics goals, it'll help you track 15% of your page landers are buying. Okay, that'll help you track that. It's called Google Analytics goals. Where are people coming from? Google Analytics will tell you. How are they just bouncing it? If it's 70% of the people landing on your page just go away without buying, well, you need to lower that, right? What is a good bounce rate? I'm not going to tell you what a good bounce rate is, but you need to compete with yourself right there. You need to just compete with your previous version of the landing page. Is it better? Is your bounce rate better? Are they if the reason they are bouncing away is to buy based on your goals, then that's great. But if they're bouncing away without buying, then you have a problem here. Dwell time, actually, or time on page. Raise it. So raise it, right? So people are really considering buying. Okay. One thing I didn't put on here that I think can be helpful is click heat map, and some tools for that are hotjar.com and what's that other one? Click heat maps. There's another one that's very popular. Crazy Egg. That's right. Crazy Egg. Okay. What do I mean by a click or a heat map? Okay. It's when you install these softwares, whether Hotjar or Crazy Egg, it will tell you where people's mouse is moving as they go through the page. So it kind of gives you a suggestion of what they're looking at. Okay, and it'll tell you from your long landing page what section do they hang out in the most. That's what Hotjar and Crazy Egg does. I haven't installed it myself, but I've seen it used, and it's really cool. And it's definitely when you're a bit more advanced and you want those kinds of analytics. That's why this is in the gradually improve section, not right away. You don't have to install those things, okay? But I would say try to do this as soon as possible. Get Google Analytics as soon as possible. But it's a little bit techy. That's why I put it under this more advanced section. All right, very important. Is your web landing page mobile friendly? We've already talked about that, so I don't have to dwell on that so long. Is it social media friendly? Okay, so go and look at these links that I've given you: Facebook social, Facebook sharing debugger, okay, as well as Twitter cards. I need to figure out Twitter cards myself, but there's that link for you to figure that out. Optimize the images when people share it on social media. Does it look nice? That kind of thing. Does it load fast? This is super important. Super important. Okay. Well, I would say don't worry about it until you're improving your landing page, but when you are improving it, really try to consider how fast it loads. And you can use this Google Page Speed Insights tool to put in your website and see how fast, whether it's an A or a B or C, or they'll give you basically a score for how well it's doing in terms of fast loading. Because for every millisecond that it takes longer, you're losing people. People are leaving your site. They're there. I don't want to. This is the right place. Is it, etc. Okay, split testing is something that's actually not too hard to do, and it's kind of fun to do. And in fact, I'm going to put this a bit higher here. I'm going to put this up here. Okay, put this up here. Split testing using Google Optimize is free. What this means is, imagine creating your landing page. You've already done it. Now clone or duplicate your landing page and put a different headline instead. That can make a dramatic difference whether people decide to stay there and to buy. Well, how do you know which headline is better ultimately, right? Split testing will give you real data. You'll be able to create those two different versions of the landing page, and Google Optimize will randomly send 50% of the people to version A, 50% of the people to version B. You can test things like headline, you can test things like buttons, button color, you can test images. Think about all the important elements, basically, all the elements that we talked about, okay? Headlines and, text formatting and images and all that. You can test all that with Google Optimize. It's really cool. I've used it before, and that's how I used to kind of figure out what my homepage should say, was by split testing it. That was the landing page I was really working on back then. And I should use it again for my landing, and I'm going to actually, in the next few months, I'm going to use this again for my landing pages. Okay. For those of you who are here live, do you have any questions for me? Anything I haven't answered and that you'd love to know about landing pages and how to make them better? And for those who are watching this replay, please feel free to comment below with any questions you have. As long as it's not a question about should I say this or should I say that or give me critique, I'm really happy to answer your questions. So let's see here. Okay.
George, I have a question.
Yes, Teresa.
I also sent you an email just now to ask you about, and to maybe cover it in the Q&A that you have next. You use Google a lot. Mm-hmm. And it just seems like, is there a central location for it? Because I know I've got a Google Calendar and a Google Docs, but do you have to have a different...
Yeah, so yeah, let's cover that in the next Q&A, because that's not really specific to landing pages, but thanks for asking, and we'll talk about that in the Q&A call.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you. Jenny says, do you have a Fiverr VA to recommend on creating a landing page? In fact, I do. If you want to use Weebly, I have a Fiverr person who has done affordable and decent work for my clients who are using Weebly. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a link, and I'll put that link in the. Give me a second here. And this person is based in the United States, so their language is fluent, and they okay, Weebly Fiverr. Oh, okay. That person might be able to work on WordPress as well, but let me show you, if you were looking for a Fiverr, how do you evaluate them? I taught a whole workshop on this, actually, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. If you haven't gotten my workshop on joyful productivity, I talk about freelancers and how to vet them in session 3. But I'll just show you. Yeah, Fiverr is amazing, right? You go to graphic design area. You go to web and mobile design. If you have WordPress, just put in WordPress design, or even just do landing page. There's lots of Fivers who will do landing pages for you, right? I will write attention-grabbing headline content for your landing page, $25 starting. Create, let's see here. Design and develop a beautiful high-converting landing page. Design a responsive sales page. Responsive, if you've ever seen that, responsive means that a page looks good on mobile as well as desktop. That's what responsive means. Beautiful modern landing page. So they're all here. So you can go check them out, look at their reviews, and look at their portfolio and see if you like it. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's see. Are there any other questions? Jason earlier said, should you use your Facebook page reviews for testimonials? I do, because it's really easy for me just to take the screenshot. Like, this is a Facebook, comment. These are Facebook comments. In other places, I have Facebook reviews that actually I do a screenshot of it. I'll be honest with you, I've gotten feedback from people I've asked. They don't actually like how this looks. So I really should go the extra mile and just copy and paste what they wrote and put their picture nicer on here and their name. So I need to do some work on optimizing my own landing pages to make it look nicer. So that's the feedback I've gotten from some people about it. Okay. Okay, Christella, thank you. George, what do you think about using Udemy for a low-end course and as a first step to build my audience? I'm so glad you asked. I don't recommend it, because Udemy doesn't allow you to collect the contact information of your students. So how you can't build your audience with you. In fact, I was coaching a client who is one of the top Udemy instructors, and the reason he hired me, he says, George, I've got this huge audience on Udemy, but I can't get them off of Udemy to my own website to buy other things or to look at my other content. I can only contact them about upcoming Udemy courses or whatever. Now, that's not entirely true, because in a Udemy course that you create, you can have a bonus lecture at the very end that encourages them to sign up for your newsletter or something like that. But very, very few people who buy your courses, like 1%, are going to ever make it down to the bonus course that sells them on coming to your website or something outside of Udemy. So the time to use Udemy is when you also are planning to sell your course yourself, but you're just letting Udemy search engine people there find your course. In other words, you're wanting additional sales of your course without worrying whether Udemy people are ever going to know about you outside Udemy. That's the only reason you use Udemy. Does that make sense? It's just additional revenue, additional revenue from your course, additional people taking your course, but they may never come over to where you are. I've bought dozens of Udemy courses, and once out of dozens of teachers have I actually tried to look for the person outside of Udemy. Otherwise, I just very happy taking their stuff right in Udemy. So I hope that helps. Okay. So yes, Udemy, if you have your course there, it's not exclusive. You can sell your courses on your own website or anywhere else as well. So it's non-exclusive. Yeah. Okay. So that brings us to the end of this session. I hope this has been helpful. Oh, I want to tell you final thing, actually. I have bonus materials for this workshop series. So if you want to be sure to get the bonus materials. I've gotten smart about asking for your feedback. I need to dangle a carrot for you. So if you want the bonus materials, you need to click there and fill out the feedback form. And then immediately after you fill it out, you'll get the link to the bonus materials. And thank you so much. I really appreciate your feedback, because every single comment about how I can improve this or how this was amazing really helps me to be encouraged and to keep going and to make improvements, things like that. So I really appreciate it. I have this section called Next Steps here, just to kind of help you figure out if you're applying this course. So just ask yourself these questions. Okay, are you reaching out, emailing 4 people per week or per month? If you're, just want to do it casually, 4 people per month. Are you asking them for fan interviews? If not, I recommend you get going. I do. I make sure I have at least 1 fan interview per week, which means I usually have to email 4 people to get 1 person saying yes. Are you spending 30 to 60 minutes once a week doing market research, especially when you're trying to launch something or you're trying to improve your landing page? If not, I would recommend it. Are you planning to send out a survey for your next offering, whatever your next offering / launch is? Are you spending some time improving your landing page based on the above advice, which we've already talked about? And if you want to launch your landing page and make sure people are seeing it, I recommend Facebook ads. Highly recommend it. That's what I do to make most of my sales for my online courses is through Facebook ads. And I have an upcoming course called Authentic Enrollment, which will be helpful, especially if you are trying to get one-to-one clients. That's what that's focused on, and that's coming up if you want to go to my workshops page and sign up for the email list to get announcements about it. So with that, thank you. Be sure to fill out the feedback form to get the bonus materials. And I look forward to seeing you, hopefully, in a Q&A call and maybe in a future course as well. Bye, everyone. I'll just unmute so that you can hear each other's voices as we go.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.